suggestion. There's going to be stuff about the Queen, which many people will think is a bit near the knuckle, if not downright treasonable.
Well, I think people watching the past three series have sort of felt that, yes, it is a bit near the knuckle and maybe treasonable, but we don't shove people in the Tower of London anymore or chop off their heads. We just wrap them across the knuckles. And...
What is your issue with the Crown? I mean, you've obviously been very close to royalty. You know,
as far as the Crown is concerned, you've got to look upon it as entertainment. That's all it is. I don't think anything's going to be damaging for the royals. Quite frankly, they've had to suffer all sorts of indignities. Look at Spitting Image in the 80s. It was a bit of fun, and everybody looked upon it as a bit of fun. Monarchy has been lampooned for decades, for centuries. You look at the cartoons of George III and George IV, even going back further to Charles I. Monarchy have always been a target.
All right, Tom, but Tom, the issue, I guess, is people will watch this and think this is actually
a history lesson.
I've certainly watched The Crown and thought it had a ring of truth, almost all of it. They claim it's pretty historically accurate. So this idea that we view it as entertainment, I think a lot of people will view it as, blimey, that's what happened. Is that problematic, or should it all just be out there?
No, I think a lot of it is true. I disagree with that, Dickie, completely. I think a lot of it is well-researched. I think a lot of the affairs, a lot of the arguments, a lot of the issues did happen. I think that so much has come out from people who are at the scene, so it's quite reliable. And if it's done in a sexy way and is great compulsive TV, that makes it even better.
You write very powerful biographies of people,
Thank you,
which contain lots of revelation. Is there a line, even with the royals, who are public figures, they're funded a lot by the public, is there a line, you know, whether we're talking about the Queen and her early life or Meghan and Harry now, whatever it may be, that publicly funded argument used by journalists as a catch-all for anything goes, is that fair, or is there a line that you shouldn't cross?
There's one line I wouldn't cross, which is to besmirch the Queen.
There is a suggestion in the new series, there is a storyline that develops.
Her great deep friendship with her horse trainer, Lord Porchester. We don't know whether it was more than just a passionate friendship. I think we'll probably know in 100 years. Someone will...
Dickie, should we know that kind of thing? Or is the Queen... I mean, I think the Queen, in that sense, should be slightly untouchable, in the sense that she hasn't put a foot wrong for us for 60 years.
You're absolutely
Why,
right.
at this stage of her life, would we want to try and embarrass her?
You're absolutely right. And there's an element of trying to embarrass, but you've got to look at it in two ways. Firstly, this story comes out in The Crown. This is what Peter Morgan has been majoring on in terms of publicity. This is why we're talking about it today. If that hadn't been in there, we wouldn't be here talking about it.
Oh, we would. There's a lot more, Dickie.
There is a lot more.
There's a lot more.
Dickie, how many stories do you know that we don't know about what went on?
Oh, I couldn't possibly comment.
But a lot, right? A lot.
Well, you know everything.
I wouldn't say I know everything, but I do know a lot.
But there are lots of stories that stay in the royal locker, aren't there?
But there probably are a few stories. But if you go to the alleged relationship between the Queen and Porchy, her racing manager of 32 years, a man she met just after the war, because the families were very much not related, but, you know, the aristocracy all stick together.
And what do you think the nature of that relationship was?
The relationship was employer-employee.
Yeah. Oh,
He
no,
was
much,
her
much
racing manager.
No, much deeper than that.
Oh, come on.
Much deeper.
You
We
want
don't
it
know.
to be deep.
No, I didn't say it's sexual. I'm sure it was a very close relationship.
They were
and
very
there's nothing
close
wrong with
friends.
that. Well, exactly.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean to say a relationship. That
Well,
means
he doesn't
close
hint
friends.
at
Haven't the
anything
royals
more.
historically, Dickie, always been at it like rabbits, though? I mean, isn't that part of being a royal?
Couldn't possibly comment.
What a line to end it on.
It's the British
Dickie,
aristocracy.
thank you.
That's what they do, isn't it? They go shooting,
like
hunting, and
footballers.
they have sex with each other.
Bit like
all the time.
footballers.
You're just envious, Piers.
I am envious, actually, Tom. I am. You're entirely correct. Chaps, very good to see you. I've got to say, I think The Crown is utterly brilliant. I think Peter Morgan's a genius. I think that the first two series were brilliant.
But is it a history lesson?
I
Or
think
is it a lesson in entertainment?
I think it's a bit of both. I'm entertained. I also feel that I'm learning